Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. As you can see, I'm still on my road trip. And I just wanted to answer a question. Somebody asked me, are they getting rid of FICO scores, replacing them with Vantage scores? And the answer to that is no. Here's what happened so that you can have a clear understanding. Although there are more institutions adopting a Vantage score, and so for many people, they would go to like Credit Karma and they would look at the credit score, but that's not your FICO score, that's your Vantage score, which is your Vantage 3 score, right? And because of that, people are like, well, what about getting a mortgage, right? So what ended up happening, FHA loans no longer require a mortgage FICO score. Your mortgage FICO scores were FICO 5, 4, 3, and 2. Okay, so they're no longer requiring those scores for a FHA government loan. What they're doing, they're looking at the Vantage 4 score, okay? And they're looking at the FICO score 10T trending score. And the reason they're looking at these scores because that you have more identifiers to help boost up the credit score and that you're not penalized from. Like for liens, okay? So you may have a eviction, a lien, you may have a medical bill. So with these trending scores, trending 10T score, as well as with the FICO 4 scores, they don't calculate that in no more, okay? And so I'll tell you the difference between the Vantage 3 and the 4, and it's very important, but you have to understand that's only for the mortgage. For us, the mortgage is what they are considering that for. So the FHA. So I hope that clarifies that. That being said, here's the thing about it so that you can understand. When you go to Credit Karma, and Credit Karma says, well, you have a 680 credit score. Remember, that's a Vantage 3 score. So 90% of the banks, they're not using a Vantage score to give you credit cards and stuff. Now, where American Express, and I'm going to just point out a few of the national banks, okay? So you have, say, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, American Express. They used to give you a Vantage score. Well, Wells Fargo, they give you a FICO 9 score, not a Vantage score, okay? So they'll give you a real, but like with Chase, Bank of America, they will give you a Vantage score. However, they do not use those scores when qualifying you for any type of credit cards or loans, all right? Now, in terms of American Express, they used to give you a Vantage score, but they finally switched over to where they actually started giving you your real FICO 8 score, which is Experian is what they use. Now, that being said, who actually uses a Vantage score that you can take advantage of or you can leverage from? That would be like BCU, Baxter Credit Union. Okay, so they use a Vantage 3. You have a Veridian. Veridian uses a Vantage 3 score. NASA uses a Vantage 4 score. BMO, they use a Vantage 4 score. You have a Patel credit cards. They use a Vantage 3. Now, the difference between those Vantage scoring systems is this: the Vantage 3 would still calculate in that charge off you had, even though it was a paid off charge off, you know, where you settled it, but it still had a balance on it, they would count that in. Well, now with the Vantage scoring, they no longer count that in. So that's why it can be confusing in terms of people looking at a FICO score versus a Vantage score. So there are institutions that are adopting a Vantage score, so where you can actually use it. There isn't many, so that's just the reason I tell you that you're not going to replace the FICO score. The reason that banks keep using the FICO score as the FICO 8 score, and to be exact, is because they don't, I would say, inflate the number, inflate your credit score. So like, say that you had authorized users on the credit file, you had rental payments on the credit file, you may have had subscriptions, utility payments to help build up your credit file, right? So those is why like a Vantage 3, Vantage 4, FICO 9 score, they will use those type of accounts to help your credit score. However, again, with the FICO 8 scoring systems, they do not calculate that. All right. So more banks, they try to make sure that you're not inflating. That's the reason, even like it used to be like if you had a authorized user and say that you wanted to get a FHA mortgage loan, if you had a authorized user on there, they would make you take that authorized user off before they actually even ran your credit, because again, they was not trying to inflate the credit score artificially. They wanted to see actually how real was your own credit file, meaning what type of personal trade lines did you have on the credit file yourself without the assistance. And like I said, because FHA has changed their guidelines over to using the Vantage 4 as well as the trending 10T, this is why a lot of people think they're getting rid of the FICO score, but they're not. 90% of the banks use them. They're going to keep on using it. Like I said, in reference to the FICO 8, the FICO 9 scoring system, like if you go to, say, PenFed Credit Union, like they use a FICO 9 scoring, Equifax FICO 9. You have Navy Federal. So with Navy Federal, on the personal side, is TransUnion FICO 9, Experian FICO 9 on the business side. Going back to Wells Fargo, when I mentioned Wells Fargo. So with Wells Fargo, they use a Experian FICO 9 scoring as well. Okay? And so with the FICO 9 Advantage score, those are the ones that you can actually add on other outside accounts to help inflate the credit score. So this is the reason why a lot of people assume that, oh, they're going to get rid of the FICO score. Nope, they're not. So just keep in mind, even like with Capital One, a lot of people say, well, Capital One gives you a credit score, but again, it's a Vantage score, but they use FICO 8 scoring. So that's the reason why when you apply for a Capital One card and stuff like that, one of the things I do like about Capital One, for those of you may have had an account, a credit card account with Capital One, and the credit card account did go bad. So when that credit card account did go bad, what ended up happening is that after a year, Capital One will forgive you and they'll give you another account. That's one of the flexibility about Capital One. The only thing that people don't like about Capital One is that they pull all 3 credit bureaus. However, you can actually lock up 2 of your credit bureaus and they'll only pull from one credit bureau, but a lot of people don't know that. So if you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off of the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.